I would like to clarify some things from my previous video. I'm sure there are many people who are legitimately just interested in their family lineage, ancestry, and genealogy. And I was too for a moment. But we must understand and take into account there are others who have an agenda. And that involves all of our genealogy. And it's not for good purposes. There are also others who close ranks, so to speak, around those things, genetically speaking, for eugenics and other purposes. And some of them are members of these lineage societies to keep it in the family, so to speak, or at least in my opinion. We must learn to discern with each situation what we are really dealing with. Moving on, we're looking at Town Creek Indian Mounds located in North Carolina near Mount Gilead in Montgomery County. This site main features are a platform mound with surrounding village and wooden palisade or stake wall. Of course, this is also a Mississippian Culture site, and the only one located in North Carolina. And according to the Government of North Carolina's website, this mound is, quote, an unusual phenomenon in the history of North American archaeology, close quote. Wow, that's a pretty huge statement, isn't it? In the history of North American archaeology. Why would they say that? Because this location has been, quote, the focus of a consistent program of archaeology research for more than half a century, close quote. So once again, just let me point out, this mound is on the same timeline with the Mississippian Culture and the Franklin Roosevelt administration's project of the excavation of America in the 1930s under the WPA or Works Progress Administration. And my next video will be on this. We need to get a closer look at what exactly the Roosevelt administration was doing with this project. So the story of this property begins with a man named L.D. Frucci, or Frucci. I'm going to pronounce it Frucci, and my apologies if I'm not pronouncing that right, who owned this land in the 1930s and who allowed the WPA to excavate beginning in 1937. And eventually Frucci donated the land to the state of North Carolina along with an additional acre of surrounding land in the 1940s. It was called Frucci State Park for several years. The excavation team for this mound under the WPA was the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, which, ironically or not, was considered, quote, a public Ivy or public institution which offers an academic experience similar to that of an Ivy League private institution, close quote. The name became or changed to Town Creek in the 1940s and has been administered by the North Carolina Department of Cultural Resources. And they are a, quote, cabinet-level department within the state government of North Carolina, dedicated to overseeing projects in the arts, cultures, and history within the borders of the state, close quote. A gatekeeper of North Carolina history, if you will. And not surprising, they claim people here left no written record, yet these archaeology academics know so many details of the story that they claim was never written. How can that possibly be? I mean, it cannot be both. It cannot be that they have all these details of this story, yet it's all mysterious and no one knows anything. It just doesn't make any sense. The lead archaeologist of Town Creek in 1937 was Geoffrey Coe from Chapel Hill, and strangely, he remained that for over 50 years, never moving on to any other digs, which was kind of unusual in that field. Interestingly, unlike many other temple mounds across America, Town Creek is a reconstructed site. In other words, they claim this whole area was not original, but that they reconstructed it. Moving on to the Indian Mounds of South Carolina. Of these mounds, there are 5 that are listed on the National Register of Historic Places. They are Adamson Mound, Blair Mound, Lawton Mound, McCollum Mound, and Santee Mound. And they are among over 35 mound sites located in this state. And some of the excavators of the Carolina mounds are Joseph Caldwell, Carl Miller, Arthur Kelly, Robert Neitzel, and Geoffrey Coe. And that's just to name a few. And I believe these men also worked with the WPA excavations of these mounds located in these areas. Of course, we are told these mounds are all part of the Mississippian culture too. And at the park of the mound builders' time, they claim the evidence suggests that there were as many as 150 of these mounds present in South Carolina when the Europeans arrived. One website, Discover South Carolina, points out that the Santee Mound was a captured Confederate victory location during the Civil War. Now, is that true? Or is that just part of the legend and lore of this area? Chago Mound, or Chago Mound, and my apologies if I did not pronounce that correctly, but I'm calling it Chago Mound. Located in Oconee County in South Carolina, is also part of the Mississippian culture and supposedly has identified 4 distinct periods of archaeological occupation or time period artifacts. I'm not exactly sure how they have determined this, or let me put it this way. They do not identify the artifacts that led them to this exact conclusion. For example, they state, and I quote, "The platform mound indicates it was an administrative and ceremonial center for chiefdoms," close quote. What exact artifacts did they find that led to that decision? And what is a chiefdom? Quote, "A form of hierarchical political organization in non-industrial societies based on kinship and in which formal leadership is monopolized by the legitimate senior members of select families or houses," close quote. Wow, this is similar to our previous video about lineage societies, isn't it? And it's most certainly an elite concept, a concept that they identify with in common with the mound builders. Family lineage determines your position in life, a hierarchy of wealth and power. How do they arrive at this conclusion? Not logically, that's for sure. And how could they determine, just by the position and size of the mound, that chiefdoms were prevalent and established here? I mean, what am I missing? How does that determine your wealth or power? What do they know that they aren't telling us?